What is progressive Christianity, and is it biblical? Now, for those of you who don't know, progressive Christianity is an approach to the Christian faith that is influenced by post-liberalism and postmodernism. And although they do have some things in common with the Bible, when you look deeper, they're not entirely biblical. And before we go any deeper, make sure you like this video and subscribe, as I think it could be a big help in giving you a more confident faith. The first problem with progressive Christianity is just simply it has a low view of Christ. One of the hallmarks of progressive Christianity is how they view Christ. The traditional view of Jesus, of course, is that he is the divine Son of God who deserves our worship and praise. But that's not exactly what progressive Christian teaches. It teaches instead that Jesus was more of a moral example or teacher rather than he was divine. And although we should look to Jesus as a moral example, that's not all there is to Jesus or his nature. The second problem with progressive Christianity is that it's focused on moralism, not salvation. If you don't have any sense of Jesus as someone who should be worshipped, then he's really just left as someone to emulate. Progressive Christianity's highest goal is just to be a good person. And although it's not wrong to emulate Jesus' teachings, to say the goal of Christianity is just to be a good person is an oversimplification. You're not really left with any salvation at all, but rather just a moral code or a moral framework. The third problem with progressive Christianity is it downplays our fallenness. Closely tied to my last point is that if you think you can be a good person, you have a very, very low view of sin. Progressive Christianity teaches this idea that man isn't really that fallen and that we really aren't that bad. They say we're all good at the core. You'll even find in most progressive Christian circles a downplaying of sin or even a downplaying of the wrath of God towards that sin, and you'll find that they say God isn't really that upset at our sin, when really the Bible says otherwise. Romans 1:18 says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness." And Romans 3:23 says, "For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God." And Jeremiah 17:9 says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked, who can know it?" Now, these verses obviously fly in the face of progressive Christianity and its teachings. Whenever you reduce progressive Christianity, you're really just left with a moral teacher rather than a divine Jesus. You're left with a fall that really wasn't that devastating and a cross that really isn't that saving. And at the end of the day, this really isn't good news at all. If our salvation is up to us, it's not good news. Now, luckily, this is not what the Bible teaches, and I hope I was able to demonstrate that in this video, although it was short. And this, of course, is to give you a more confident faith.